Switchcraft is brought to you live 3 times a week on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 3 p.m. U.S. Eastern and on Saturday whenever I can get to it. Tune in live over at twitch.tv/runjumpstomp. This episode of Switchcraft is brought to you by Jason Parker. Support Switchcraft and my other content for as little as $1 over at patreon.com/runjumpstomp. And we'll name that patron. And we will save. SC 190. Oh my gosh. I've done this 190 times. That's crazy. Okay. Episode 190 of Switchcraft is also brought to you by OP Seat. Head on over to runjumpstomp.com/OP Seat to directly support the show and get a fantastic gaming chair that can support you. I'm sitting in one right now, and it's great. If you go to runjumpstomp.com/OP Seat, you should be able to use coupon code RUNJUMPSIT for $10 off. Sponsor save. Are the seats cloth, RJS? No, they're leather. Well, maybe pleather. I don't know. It feels like leather to me, but you know, I'm certainly no aficionado, if that makes sense. But they're super comfortable. Like this has really good lumbar support. Nintendork. A Nintendork is never late. They arrive precisely when they mean to. Thank you very much, Vaxxer, for pointing out that after 190 times I still make mistakes. I appreciate it. I am a deeply flawed human being. All right. And we can't all just follow our programming like you, man. All right. So I wanted to start today's episode with a quick PSA, and I mean quick. I'm not going to talk about this for very long, but Battle Chasers Night War. If you want a physical version of that game, you can currently go to Amazon.com, and you can just follow the link in the show notes, and that will support the stream. But that'll support the show, and you can pick up that game for $25 physical copy. So it's like, I think, a 38% off the normal $40 price. I am having trouble deciding what I want to do. Like, I very much prefer to play games digitally, but that's like $15 off, and that's a good deal. By all accounts, this game is fantastic. So anyway, if you are interested in Battle Chasers Night War, again, follow the link in the show notes, or just go to runjumpstomp.com/thank you and use my Amazon link, and then buy the game because I've heard it's really fantastic. There we go. See? Look at that. That was a short segment. Battle Chasers Night War. And my watch is going off. What do people want? Oh, cool. Thank you for the retweets, people. Joel Mead, just like the Dos Equis guy. What about the Dos Equis guy? I don't know. Like, I know isn't that the most interesting man in the world? What's like the Dos Equis guy? Joel. All right, Vaxxer, go walk that dog, man. Where are we? Oh, here we are. I've been picking up a lot on digital lately. I mean physical. Yeah, I've kind of, well, okay. So we kind of have sparked a discussion in between segments, and TF Wagner in chat says, because I was talking about how I prefer to play games digitally, and TF Wagner said, I've been picking a lot of games on physical lately. And it brings me back to when the Switch first came out. One of the things that I said was, you know, I want to get most of my games physical. That way I don't have to have huge storage media. But then as I kept doing my podcast and I received more and more review copies of games, and that's generally how, for the most part, I mean, unless you are a huge I hate this word, but influencer, unless you are like massive, you're not getting physical copies of stuff. They're just going to send you a code. And so almost, I mean, I would say a vast majority of the games that I have on my Switch are games that I got for free as review copies. So they're almost all digital. And I was looking the other day, I have like 80 games on my Switch, and most of those are review copies. And it got me thinking about every time that I have to get out a cartridge to play a physical game, I'm almost dissuaded from it. I'm like, nah, you know what? I'll just play this instead because, you know, maybe I'm in the other room and my Switch case is in here. This is where I keep all of my games. I don't use the boxes. They just sit on the shelf. But, you know, I'm in another room and my Switch case isn't with me. It's sitting here in the nerd nest, as my wife and I affectionately call this. And I will often just say, well, you know what? I'll just play this other game because I don't have to go get the cartridge. And that's really not an issue when you are talking about being in the room with it, because if it was in the room, I'd just get up, go grab it. Like on a PS4 or something where you play that at a designated location. And the more that I play the Switch and the more that I play games digitally, the less likely I am to pick up physical versions of something. Now, for me, right now, the only reason that I would pick up a physical version of a game is if it's a game that I know that I'm going to be sharing with my son. But more often than not, those are games that are from Nintendo. And more often than not, those are games that are going to only be single player. Because if it's a multiplayer game, then I definitely want to get a digital version, because then I have to get 2 copies anyway so that we can play together. Anyway, I'm curious as to, you know, all this time later, where is it that you guys usually settle? Are you mostly physical or mostly digital? Or are you kind of half and half? And I'm thinking about this right now. I'm going to go ahead and do another Twitter poll like I did the last 2 episodes. Go over to twitter.com/runjumpstomp or @runjumpstomp or however it is that you search for it. And once you get there, you're going to see a Twitter poll, and it's going to ask whether you like games to be physical or digital. Let me know. And I'm going to continue recording with this. Okay. So let's see what chat has to say about this. TF Wagner says, if I don't have a choice, then it's digital. Anyone 2643 says, as much as I love physical games with the Switch, I've been going digital. I'm not entirely happy because I love box art and I don't like having to mess with the cartridges. TF Wagner says, okay, my games and where I play are in the same room. So it kind of backs up what I was saying. Mikey B. Playing says, physical equals more money later for me. And that's a really good point, because a lot of times you can get things a lot cheaper on Amazon or, you know, at a brick and mortar retailer than the eShop, which is kind of lame. Link31254 says, I just love looking at my shelves full of games, physical as much as possible. Joel Mead 24 says, only digital game I have that I have is available for physical is Splatoon 2. So Joel Mead goes pretty much mostly physical. Hopple says, digital only for small games to play on the go. Kodiak Moonwolf says, I've got a mix. A lot of the big games like Mario Odyssey, Hyrule Warriors, Breath of the Wild are physical, but I've got a fair share of digital games on the eShop if they take my interest. So in addition to voting on the poll, make sure that you reply on that Twitter poll and let me know why. What's your reasoning for going physical or going digital? There we go. Sometimes I forget that I need to not just click that button to end the recording right after I finish a point. All right. Physical versus digital. Save. And let's go ahead and do that tweet. Actually, you know, I'll just, can I do this from my phone? Well, I noticed the other day that when I opened up Twitter in order to send out a tweet on my PC in the middle of the show, like my frames dropped like bananas. So let me just do this real quick. On the Nintendo Switch, comma, do you prefer physical games, comma, or digital games, question mark. Reply with your reasons, exclamation point. There we go. I love voice typing. And now I'll just turn, whoops. And now I'll just turn this into a hashtag, and then we will get going on the hashtag Nintendo Switch. We'll turn that into a poll. Physical, digital. And we'll do this until Tuesday. Today is Saturday. 1, 2, 3. So 3 days. Wait, what the heck? Hold on. There's a problem here. Not now. Never. No. Dang it. There we go. My keyboard was covering this up, so we'll do 3 days. And tweet. All right, guys, there you go. You want to help out? You can go ahead and follow that or answer that poll right now. Okay. All right, Kodiak, see you when you get back. Register your interest in Pokemon on the Nintendo Switch. Now, I don't really get what exactly is going on here, but Nintendo.co.uk has posted a little button for you to register that you are interested in the pending title for Pokemon on Nintendo Switch. It says, enter your email below to register your interest in our pending title, Pokemon on Nintendo Switch, and be the first to hear from us on how to pre-order and about other exciting new Nintendo products, services, promotions, and events that might be of interest. So, you know, I don't know that I've ever seen Nintendo do something like this in the past, but that doesn't mean that they haven't. Maybe they have, and I just missed it. Maybe they did, and I put my name in and just forgot about it. But this is the first time that I remember any time recently where they're like, hey, let us know, and we'll email you when we've got more information about that. And I think that this is a pretty good indicator that we're going to be hearing about the Pokemon game very soon. Now, there's rumors that we were supposed to hear about it before the end of May. We are very, very quickly approaching the end of May. And with E3 right around the corner, I guarantee we'll hear something about it at E3, unless we hear something about it before then. So again, just follow the link in the show notes, drop your email in there, and let Nintendo know that you want to know. Now, I'm not sure why this is only on nintendo.co.uk, but you know, who cares? You can just put your email in, and I'm sure that they'll let us know. So I find that to be a pretty good indicator that the rumors are correct, that we'll hear about it before the end of May. Pokemon. Save. Okay, this is a good segue. Speaking of Nintendo UK, if you want to pick up a Nintendo Classic Mini, that is this thing right here, the Nintendo Classic Mini, which is really awesome. I'm a big fan of this. If you want to pick up one of these, I was lucky and got one of these at launch a couple years ago. But if you want to get one of those, then head on over to my show notes. As I said before, this is would be, if you're watching this on YouTube, then it would be runjumpstomp.com/190. If you're watching it live on Twitch, then that's not there yet. It'll show up later. But that's where you can find my show notes. And once you're there, you can click on the link and it will take you right to this website, which is Nintendo's official UK store. And it is now back in stock and you can pre-order it. It says one per customer, which I like that. That's a good thing. And the only thing that I'm really interested in, or that you know what? I'm not even interested. I was interested in getting an extra controller, because when I went to the store and bought my NES Classic or Classic Mini or whatever it is that they want to call it, they had so few controllers, and the woman in front of me, she bought the last extra controller, so I only ever had one controller for this. However, for those of you that have this, and you also have the Super Nintendo Classic, look at me with props. So if you also have the Super Nintendo Classic, then the controllers that come with this also, the Super Nintendo Classic also work on the NES Classic, and they're better controllers. First off, they don't have the sharp corners like the NES, and I know a lot of people are like, but I kind of want it to be the authentic experience. The NES Classic controllers have a I think it's less than 3-foot cord, which is just stupid. And I don't often say things like that about something, but that's just foolish. It's just dumb. Terrible, terrible planning. It's got this tiny little cord, almost like they had cords left over from when they were making nunchucks for the Wii. And the one for the Super NES Classic, that one has a much, much longer cord, at least twice as long. And it's also a more comfortable controller, in my opinion. But if you want that super authentic retro experience, then you're going to want to pick up the Nintendo Classic Mini NES controller. And that's, it's great as far as it feels, but that short cord really sucks. And I would definitely recommend against picking up any of the third-party controllers that were made for the NES Mini, because they were really terrible. They got a bad D-pad. The buttons felt really spongy. A guy at GameStop sold me one, and I was really unhappy with it, and we never use it. It basically just sits on a shelf, and it just never, ever gets used. Classic. Save. All right. Link31254 wants to know, can we pre-order from the States? I don't know. It doesn't say anywhere it will not ship to the United States, but I'm sure you'll have to pay. In England, they have like the VAT, the value added tax, so you'll have to pay that. And the price will get pretty high, I'm sure. Like, where is it? I'm moving my head. Is it behind me? Yeah, like if you look behind me, where is it? Right there is the box for my my UK version of the NES Classic, which I ordered as soon as they went on sale, because I wasn't sure if I would be able to get one of the American versions, which there's the box for the American version right there. There's a shadow on my head. Ooh. And then when I told my wife, I ended up buying 2 of these. Do you want me to return one? And she saw them and she goes, oh, they look different? We'll keep them. And I was like, okay, you're the boss. So I certainly can't complain about that. Yes, Kodiak, it is talk about that. And if you go to the link in the show notes, which should be right there, you can go ahead and pre-order right now. All right. So there's not a lot of news stories today. So Nintendo sends out a press release every week. I think it comes out on Fridays or something. And I almost always, I look through it, but there's usually not much for me to talk about on there. But I'm going to go through their press release that they have real quick. Just maybe let you know about some games that are either on sale or some games that are now available that you might not know about. So you can find this article at my website. If you just go to runjumpstomp.com and click on blog up at the top, here, I'll show you. You go to runjumpstomp.com. It will, if you're watching the YouTube video, it'll look like this. And then you click on blog up at the top, and then right here it says Nintendo Download. So this is basically copied and pasted from Nintendo's press release, which you can't get to unless you have a password. We've got a whole bunch of stuff coming out. First off, Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is out on May 29th. I was really excited about this. I requested a review copy. I got turned down, which makes me sad. Single tear rolling down my cheek. But I definitely wanted to check this out, especially because it's got all of this, like it's got a bunch of games on it, and I wanted to check those games out. Now, on the Switch, I also have Street Fighter, Super Crazy, Final Extra Fighters, the third Junior. I don't know the name of the title or the actual name of the game, but it's the one that came out very early in the Switch's life cycle, and it's actually really good. I like it. It's tough to find online matches because it's just not super popular. And the reason I was kind of hemming and hawing about Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection is because I don't think that game has widescreen. I think they just they pillar box it and throw like art on the sides, whereas the new one has widescreen, and I very much like the widescreen stuff. I still feel like that's probably the best way to play, but you know, Capcom, I'm too small for them to send me a review copy, so I guess we'll never know. Another game that's coming out, or actually that's already out, that I'm very, very excited about is Bloodstained Curse of the Moon. And this is by, I forget his first name, but Mr. Igarashi, who actually worked on the original Castlevania games. Or not the original Castlevania games, but Castlevania Symphony of the Night, I believe, was one that he was in charge of. And if you talk to just about anybody, they'll say that was the best game in the Castlevania series. I personally disagree. I had a ridiculous amount of fun playing the Nintendo DS version. I can't remember the name of it, but it was really good. But Bloodstained, if you want old school Castlevania style gameplay, then Bloodstained Curse of the Moon is it's not the big one that was kickstarted, but this is actually like one of the stretch goals for that Kickstarter campaign, where, you know, they obviously got funded and then they hit this stretch goal to make an 8-bit version of the game. And it's not exactly like the game. It's a smaller portion, a smaller section of the game with, I think it has like 5 levels and lots of different ways that you can play through the game. And it looks like a lot of fun. I was watching somebody play it the other day, but that's out now. It's definitely something I want to check out. Ikaruga is also going to be out on May 29th. Sushi Striker has a demo, which I have yet to play, but I did watch somebody play, and my God, that thing is so very Japanese. Like, it is very, very anime. In fact, I almost felt like I was watching a show for a little bit of it. But it definitely intrigued me. I've heard bad things about the controls, though. Like, it's definitely meant to be played on a touchscreen, so it might be better. And yes, I know the Switch has a touchscreen, but I don't think very many people actually play that way, so you might be better off picking this one up on 3DS. Under new DLC, Nintendo has said that in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, let's see, buy the expansion pass to gain access to this titanic new content, including the new pack below, and a new story this fall. So it looks like a Smith's Pastime is the new quest that's going to be in Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I don't know much about that because I'm only on like chapter 4 or maybe 5 of that game. I still have so much to do. All right. Also new this week, I'm just going to start listing off games. You got 6180 The Moon on the Nintendo Switch. ACA Neo Geo Players Golf. You've got Arcade Archives Icky. That's IKKI. You got Adamine, Baobab's Mausoleum, Episode 1, Ophivagos Don't Eat Flamingos. Oh my god, that title. That'd be under title gore there. The Dead Fun Pack, Die for Valhalla, Discovery, Dungeon Rushers, which I did a quick playthrough, not playthrough, but a first look at that game live at my Twitch channel, which is twitch.tv/runjumpstomp, and my son came up and he played a dungeon, and we both kind of looked at it and we're like, no, it's not great. We didn't love it. Escape Game Aloha, Fallen Region, I say that every time. Fallen Legion, Rise to Glory is available May 29th. If you want to see some more about that game, check out my YouTube channel at youtube.com/runjumpstomp. We've got a new Harvest Moon game called Light of Hope Special Edition. Now, I know a lot of people are big fans of the Harvest Moon series, but what I have heard is that, and I don't know this from firsthand, but what I've heard is that the Harvest Moon games that you get now are not actually the same kind of game that it was before. Like the company got bought, or the intellectual property got bought for Harvest Moon, and if you want the games that are coming from the original publisher, then they're titled under something else, which I don't actually know what it's called. Next one is Jumpin' Joe and Friends, and I actually have a video also on my YouTube channel where I sat down and played a little bit of Jumpin' Joe and Friends, and then I yelled down to my son who was downstairs. I told him to come upstairs, and he joined me for a little bit. And that game is actually pretty fun. It's from the same, I think it's Qubits is the name of the company that made it, but they've made a bunch of really cool multiplayer games like Robonauts, which is this cool game where you are on like these little planets and you have to clear all of the enemies off the planet, and you can jump from planet to planet. That is another good multiplayer game. Astro Bears Party Deluxe, which is another game where you're like on a little planet. Imagine if you combine Super Mario Galaxy, where you're on a little planet in 3D and you can run around it, with multiplayer Snake, the game where, or like Tron Light Cycles kind of thing, where as you move, there's a trail left behind you, and if the enemy, or if anybody runs into that trail, they die, and you and up to 3 other people are on this same platform or planet, and you're running around trying to avoid each other's Tron Light Cycle trails behind them, and hoping that somebody else runs into yours. It's actually a really fun game. I wouldn't get it if you're not going to be playing with somebody else, but I think it's actually like 99 cents right now. They also made a game called Pirates All Aboard, which I thought was a snooze fest. I really was not a fan of that. But Jumpin' Joe and Friends is actually pretty cool, and I think it's got a lot of replayability with get a group of people together, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Other games we've got here: Jurassic Pinball. I never even heard of that. Knights of Pen and Paper +1 Deluxe Year Edition. I did a video on that, of course, over on my YouTube channel. That's a game where you play as both the players and the characters in a Dungeons and Dragons game, which is really weird. Legend of K Anniversary. I did not know about this, but I feel like I've seen the box art before, so I don't remember the name of it, but I recognize the box art for some reason. Then we've got Mecha Storm N++, which is a game which originally came out basically, I think, in web browsers, like it was a Shockwave game or something. And you are this little tiny stick figure ninja man, and you have to jump all over the place to get all the little pieces of gold and then get to the exit or something like that. And it's come out on lots of different platforms, and it's been really, really well received. It's got really good platforming, pixel perfect platforming. So definitely check that one out if that pixel perfect platforming is something that you're into. Then we've got Pixel Junk Monsters 2, Punch Club, which I did a first look over at my website. That's one where it's like you're trying to train a boxer, but you're not actually playing as the boxing. You're not actually jumping in and fighting on your own. Yoku's Island Express, I don't know. Zenbound 2 is a game which was originally, I believe, on iOS, and you had like this thing with a rope wrapped around it, and you had to tilt your phone in order to unwrap the rope. And that sounds cool, except that, you know, if this is my phone and I'm tilting my phone and the screen's now faced away from me, I can't see what I'm doing. I would assume that the Nintendo Switch version, you can put it up on the screen, hold the Joy-Con in your hand, and do the same thing, and you can see what you're doing the whole time. And I think that that is probably a much better experience than playing it on your phone. But that's just me. And then finally, Cycle of Eternity, Space Anomaly is coming to the Wii U, which that's surprising. So there is, as always, a lot of content to be played on your Nintendo Switch, and Nintendo, you're bringing a lot of third-party stuff at us, and who has time for all this? I certainly don't. Nar Elk, welcome to the Nerd Nest, man. Thank you. Yes, the shelf behind me is very cool. My wife bought me that sign right there that says Run, Jump, Stomp because she is awesome. Let's see. Anything else? Okay. Let's save our progress. Oh, wait. Nintendo download. Save. All right. All right, I already mentioned the video game. The video games. Let's try that again. Stop. I already. Birdie bird. I can't talk. Lorelalo, Lilo, Lorelalo. Aw, I've interrupted happy time. That's from Star Wars. Okay, here we go. Okay, I've already mentioned the Jumpin' Joe video, which is in my... You can find a link to that in my show notes, but there's also another video that I want you guys to know about, and that is we've got a new gameplay trailer from Nintendo for Captain Toad Treasure Tracker on the Switch, and this game looks really good. It's coming out in July, and I'm not really happy about that because that is when Octopath Traveler is coming out in July, as well as, I believe, Mario Tennis Aces. And if I have to choose between all that stuff, I tell you what I'm not going to pick, and that's Captain Toad. And it's not because it's a bad game. I've heard really, really good things about Captain Toad, but I'm just not as interested in that as I am those other two games. So I don't know, Nintendo. I think that Nintendo should have brought out that Captain Toad probably in March. That would have been a good place to drop Captain Toad, in my opinion, because I feel like the first half of the year this year has been really kind of weak as far as Nintendo releases. We've had crazy amounts of stuff to play from third parties, but Nintendo kind of had a weak first half of the year, and moving Treasure Tracker up there, I think that would have been a good move, in my opinion. TF Wagner, I just want to see if that gets extra downloads of podcast. Because I didn't play Kirby. Well, when did Kirby come out? I mean, if Kirby came out in March, then I think, you know, February or April. Yeah, I didn't play Bayonetta 2 either. Those weren't... you know what? That's true. But those just aren't games for me. I'm not a fan of that kind of game, personally. All right. All right, let's finish up with some feedback. I've got a couple of questions. The first set were from Discord. If you haven't joined our Discord, you absolutely should. Head over to runjumpstomp.com/Discord. The first question is from Carlioto. He said, have you spent more time with a robot named Fight. I bought it finally, did around 20 seeds, and spent around 12 hours. Very good game. Thanks for this discovery. No, I have not spent more time with a robot named Fight. I would love to, but I just don't have time to go back to that right now, which is too bad because I really enjoyed the time that I spent with it. I'm working on getting through Hyrule Warriors, and I'm having an absolute blast with that game. I'm still working on the story stuff, and I still have the adventure map stuff to look at, but I'm definitely enjoying Hyrule Warriors. And then, of course, I've got all these other games that I get review copies for that I need to get through. And I have Ys 8 sitting in my list of things to play, and I haven't even touched it yet because I haven't had any time. And that's a game I've really been looking forward to checking out as well. The next thing is from M. Stefano. Is your show on Spotify? I don't use it, but I've been following the podcast trend closely, and it's quickly risen to the second most popular way people get podcasts now. Yes, if you did not know, you can now listen to podcasts on Spotify, and Nintendo Switchcraft is on there. So thanks for thinking of me, M. Stefano. JHockey17 says, just started listening. My choice for a Switch port from old school. Not sure if it's Nintendo or someone else's, but I think it would be great to find great with Switch multiplayer is RC Pro-Am or Off-Road. And I could not agree more. I absolutely adored RC Pro-Am. I wasn't a huge fan of Off-Road, which arguably had better graphics, but I played so much RC Pro-Am when I was a kid. And if you don't know what RC Pro-Am is, it's this top-down racer where you've got the cameras in a fixed position. So sometimes if you're going this, it's really hard to describe. I would just suggest that you find a video of RC Pro-Am, but I believe it was actually made by Nintendo. I haven't actually looked that up. And the reason I think it was made by Nintendo is because you pick up the letters to spell Nintendo as you go through. But it is like a precursor to Mario Kart, because it is a racing game where you end up picking up weapons or bombs, and you can shoot missiles in front of people or in front of you to hit people, or you can drop bombs behind you. You end up, as you go through the races, you can put points into your tires and your speed and your acceleration and that kind of thing. And it was really, really fun game, especially when I was younger and didn't have a lot of other options. But I think that RC Pro-Am probably holds up pretty well, and I'm actually looking forward to playing it for the NES Archive, which, if you guys didn't know, is a series that I'm doing over on YouTube where I talk about each Nintendo Entertainment System game one at a time, and I'm looking forward to getting to it on over there. All right, so that was all from the Discord. I got 2 emails that I'm going to go through really quick. We got one from Jeremy. They said, "Hi, Bill. First time in a long time. I wanted to pick your brain and see if we can start over on Switch and the PS4, and see if we can start over on the Switch and the PS4, and they both came out at the same time, both designed like the Nintendo Switch handheld mode, that have similar graphics, but only exclusive games to their system. Which would you pick?" So what they're saying is, let's pretend for a minute that the PlayStation 4 was not a home console per se, but it was just like the Nintendo Switch, and they both came out at the same time. Which one would you go with? Personally, I would go with Nintendo because I find their first-party lineup to be way better beyond anything else that's out there. And while PlayStation has really good exclusives, a lot of time those are third-party exclusives. And if the Switch and the PlayStation were at parity as far as power, I don't think that those third-party exclusives would exist. I think that those third-party exclusives would go across to the Nintendo Switch as well, because that's a lot of potential customers you don't want to leave hanging, and if they're equal in power, then it makes perfect sense for you to port it over. Jeremy says, it's a tough choice for me, but honestly, as a Nintendo fan, I would have to go with the PS4 version. Bill, you're the greatest host in all the land. Thanks again for the hard work. Jeremy in Portland. Thank you, Jeremy, for the email. I also got an email from John. John says, "Hey, Bill, just had one quick thought on the Fortnite rumor. And that is, if Fortnite is going to come to the Switch, what would that do to the game Crazy Justice? I was all set to buy Crazy Justice. However, Fortnite is so huge, I probably would check that out before buying Crazy Justice. Another fact is Fortnite is free if you just spend what you want, and Crazy Justice is $25 unless you helped with the Kickstarter. What are your thoughts? Is Crazy Justice dead on arrival if Fortnite arrives on Switch? It all depends on the timing. If Fortnite comes out first, then Crazy Justice is dead. It's absolutely dead. There's no way it's going to compete with Fortnite. Fortnite is just way too big. There are people out there who play Fortnite and that is their only game, and they will probably be the same people that would go out and buy a Nintendo Switch only to play Fortnite on the go with good controls rather than using their phones. If Crazy Justice comes out and it has not yet been announced that Fortnite is coming to the Nintendo Switch, then Crazy Justice will do very well, I think. However, as soon as if later on Fortnite comes to the Nintendo Switch, then I think that unless Crazy Justice is really, really good, I don't think it has a chance to compete against it. I think Fortnite is just too big. But then again, you know, everybody said the same thing about, oh gosh, what's the name of the PUBG? They said you could never topple PUBG. And while PUBG is still going strong, Fortnite is almost always higher on the most watched on Twitch than PUBG is. All right. Thank you very much for the emails. If you want to email me, you can do so at runjumpstomp@gmail.com. Thank you to Rank Dill for the 5-star review over on Apple Podcasts. They said that I am the Dan Carlin of Nintendo Podcasts. I don't know who that is, but thank you. I'll just pretend you said George Carlin, although I would never talk like him in front of a camera. Anyway, thank you very much for the 5-star review. If you guys want to help out the show, 5-star reviews are a big help, and they don't cost anything other than a little tiny bit of time. All right. Finally, don't forget that if you want the full show, you can either come and watch live over at twitch.tv/runjumpstomp, or you can catch up after the fact over at youtube.com/runjumpstomp. Finally, if you're looking for ways to support my content, head on over to runjumpstomp.com/thank you. All the links there will help support the show and help me make this even better than it already is. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really appreciate it. Vaxxer says, let's see what everybody thinks about that Fortnite comment, by the way. TF Wagner says, I think we saw an announcement of Graveyard Keeper on Tiny Build announcement. That's not what I was thinking. I thought he was saying something about this. Oh, Narelk is asking, did I see the game Graveyard Keeper? I know nothing about it, so, ask TF Wagner about that. Link31254 says, how about Rock and Roll Racing? Rock and Roll Racing, I believe that was a Blizzard game, and I don't think we're going to be getting that, but I still loved RC Pro-Am. Let's see. Kodiak Moonwolf says, Fortnite is currently 132,826 viewers on Twitch, while PUBG is 95,647. So that's a big difference. Vaxxer says, I guess it's mainly because Fortnite is free. That's true. I do think that that's a big portion of it. Also, I think that Fortnite is also more accessible because you don't need to have a super, it's optimized very well, whereas PUBG is famously poorly optimized and it just doesn't run well on lower spec hardware, whereas Fortnite runs pretty well no matter what you're playing it on. Vaxxer says, I always liked Fortnite more than PUBG. All right, fair enough. Anyway, the show would not be the same without chatters, so let's go ahead and thank those awesome people for hanging out with me while I record the show live. We've got Kodiak, Moonwolf, Vaxxer, Kamikaz, Hopple is here, Link31254, Lumberjoke 2, Mikey B playing, Nair Elk, who's Spanish by the way, Ocho 2188, Retro Underground, TF Wagner, Twitcha, Virgo Pros, and of course the Lurkers. I am out of here. I will see you guys on Tuesday. All right. Have a good one. Bye-bye.